Hey, David here. Today's Friday, so let's dive into Financial Fridays. And today, what we're going to talk about is what I do for budgeting. And budgeting is very, very, very important. You can use it just for about anything and everything. Depending, you can go as low as like how you want to budget your food. You can go how you want to budget just your everyday spending, how much you want to spend on a car, house, all that kind of stuff. Budgeting is very, very important. And this is the rule that I created and the rule I live by, which is super aggressive, and most people cannot handle it. But it is a very, very good way to get someone out of debt, or to save for a house or something big, or just save for retirement or whatever. And the budgeting system that I use is called a third, a third, and a third. And that's what I've used for many, many, many years. And I've never had any debt. And I've, helped people get out of debt by using this rule. And what a third, a third, a third is 1/3 goes to your living. So a third of your income goes to living. So whether that be rent or a mortgage. And also that includes if you have renter's insurance or, homeowner's insurance or HOA and all that kind of stuff. That all gets lumped into living expense. And then the other third is what you spend. So everything. So that's gas, entertainment, going out, drinks, groceries, just everything else, right? What you spend. And then the last third is savings. And now savings can be, bank account, having like actual cash saved in a bank account. It can be investments. It can be, stocks, crypto, anything that you can think of, savings and investments, anything that you need to save to get ahead, right? I recommend that you do stocks and other investments things for your savings. Don't just do it all straight up in cash, because the way inflation's going and everything like that, your cash is getting worth less every day. That's sitting in the bank doing nothing. I like to keep about 1 month's worth, 1 to 2 months worth of actual savings in the bank in case something happens and I need a little money. Some people do like 3 to 6 months of actual savings, in case something happens and they need to float around for a bit. So that's the rule that I use. It's super aggressive. I've seen a lot of people that try to save 10 to 15%, even like 25 is considered aggressive. I don't live by that. I live by a third, a third, and a third. And that helps me do things like have a down payment for a house, to invest a lot into stocks, and just have a big, just a big amount of money for whatever I need it for. It's very, very hard to do. Especially if you don't make very much money. I remember there was a time when, I didn't make very much money, and you just got to make it work. And if you live by these rules, it makes it easier. Like once you do it, it's really hard. But once you get used to it, like I am, it becomes easy. Like my girlfriend, she was in a ton of credit card debt. And so I budgeted her, and I was like helping her budget and everything like that. And it was really hard in the beginning. But then she said after about like 3, 4, 5 months of doing it, you just kind of get used to it. Like you don't realize how much you're spending out. Like she would go to Starbucks like almost every day and get a coffee that's like $5, $6, right? Now, then she made coffee at home, costs like 10 cents. I don't know. You buy a bag and you make it. I don't drink coffee, but so boom, right there, you're saving like almost $5 a day just in that. And she would, sometimes go out and just buy like random clothes and stuff like that. She didn't realize like once you like pick apart your like credit card, like see what you're spending, you realize it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of stuff that I really don't need to spend on. Like going out and eating, getting drinks out. Like that's really expensive. Like that adds up quick. Like there's like little workarounds you can do. Like one of the workarounds I do if I'm going to go out and have a few drinks with friends and I don't want to spend a bunch of money on drinks, I'll have like a drink or two before, right? I'll either go to someone's house, we'll Uber or something like that, and I'll have like a couple drinks there. So that way when I go out, I only need like 1 or 2. And it's like a light beer or something like that. So, it doesn't cost me very much. It's like things like that. And you can say it's like, well, I want to live my life, but it's like, okay, you can still live your life, go out with friends. Or sometimes what I do, if we're going to go out and it's like maybe a fancy restaurant where I've already capped my budget, I'll eat before I go. So then when I go to the restaurant, I'll just have like an appetizer or something like that, something smaller. So I'm still experiencing life. I'm just not spending so much money. The harder one though is like the living, a third on living. And that's really, really hard. I would always, my first house, I rented out all the rooms. So my part of the rent was like $600 a month. And it was like that for a long, long time. Before that, I lived in a 3-bedroom apartment with like anywhere between 6 and 9 other people. It was very crammed. In the master, and it was a very small apartment. In the master bedroom, we had 4 of us living in there. My rent was like $200 a month. So I was able to make that work. I've never had a car payment because all the cars I ever get is just like a little older, not old, but long enough where I can drive it for like 5 to 7 years, and it only cost me like 5 to 7 thousand. So it roughly works out to be about $1,000 a year to have the car. And then when it gets too high on mileage and I think things are going to go wrong, I sell it and make $2,000-3,000 off of it. So it actually cost me like $3,000-4,000-5,000 to drive that car for 5 to 7 years. I do things like that. I don't get like the top of the line or anything like that, just because honestly, how often am I really in my car? I go to the gym and back. That's it. So, I work from home. I used to have a job where I drive a lot more. But not anymore. But then it's like when I bought this house, I rented out the rooms as well. So that would keep my payments lower. And then as my income came up, now it's just me and my girlfriend, and we have a guest bedroom and stuff like that because I have a higher income. I don't need the renter's income to hit that third. Sometimes it's okay if you go a little higher on your home, like you're living, if you're renting, if you're owning, because if you're owning, you can almost think of your home as an investment as well. So if you're buying a place and your mortgage is higher than that third, like in my mind, I think it's fine to dip into what's supposed to go to saving investment, because technically your home is an investment. If you're renting, no, definitely not, because that money is just going straight to someone else. It's not going back to you. If you own, you're basically paying a little higher mortgage, but eventually that money comes back to you, and your home also goes up, so it's part as an investment as well. You can look at it that way. But that is the rule I've always used, and it's helped me, get ahead. And it just opens up doors when you have money not lying around, but you have extra money to do things. Like I said, have a mortgage, own something, have the down payments. If a big expense comes up, maybe you like to travel, so there you have money for traveling, or whatever it is you want to buy. Different investments, collectibles, all that kind of stuff. It gives you money it's a key to open a lot of doors, and having the ability to open those doors. And if you are in debt, and the first thing you should do is use a system to get out of debt. So instead of having a savings and investment, because credit cards are like sometimes 20%, even higher, is to take all that savings and investment money and put it towards your debt, because that's a high interest rate. So that's what you should pay off first. But the key is just budgeting yourself. And it's going to suck in the beginning, and a lot of people can't do it, and it's super aggressive, but eventually it just gets easier as you get used to it. You realize how much money you're spending on. And another way is like an easy one is streaming services. A lot of people have like Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, what all the other ones are, HBO Max, Peacock. There's like a ton. There's just like so many streaming services, right? Cut that down. Cut it down. I cut mine down. I got rid of a bunch. I get HBO Max for free through my cell phone service, but I only have Netflix because my girlfriend wants it, and Amazon Prime because I need Amazon Prime because I order on Amazon all the time, but it comes with Amazon. So the only one I really pay for is Netflix, and I even want to get rid of that because two things. It costs money. Another one is it takes up a lot of your time. You end up watching shows you don't really want to watch, and then you just waste time watching stuff that doesn't really do anything for your life. So yeah, that's an easy one. If you have a bunch of different like streaming services, different little like things that add up like $10 here, $5 here a month, all that kind of stuff, just start cutting those out. And it might be so small, and you're like, oh, it's only $5, $10 a month. But once you start doing it, it just adds up. Everything adds up. And just figure out little ways that you can budget, little ways you could cut back. Maybe it's if you work somewhere and you go out and eat for lunch every day, I used to work somewhere and do that. I started making my own food, and I'd make it before I left. That saves you like $5-10 a day right there. Just different little things that you can do. Each one, I don't know each person's exact budget and what they spend on, so it's really hard. If you buy a lot of clothes or something like that, think about buying clothes on the off seasons. So when it's becoming winter, I buy all my summer clothes because most of the time I just wear summer clothes anyways. And a lot of times I just wear those clothes for years and years and years. Like, I'm not a big clothes person. So those are just like little things. I always make food at home. Though we go out maybe like once a week, and even then it's not even like that big of a deal. So it's just like little things you can do here and there to cut back. And eventually, once you can get to that, if you want to get to the third, a third, and a third, you'll find that your savings or investments are just going higher and higher and higher and higher. And that just really opens doors for things that you truly want and truly need. If it's a big purchase that you really want, or if it's even like a house or anything like that, it just opens a lot of doors. And I helped my girlfriend get out of debt, and now she uses it. And now within like pretty much like a year, she has enough for part of a down payment. And it's just like, boom. Like, it took her, I don't know, what was that, like 2-3 years to get out of debt. And then once she got out of debt, she kept it going. And then she's like, oh my gosh, my bank account, my investments, everything's just growing, just like massively. And yeah, so that's kind of a rule I live by for budgeting. I like it. It's kind of, I just created it on my own because I figured I wanted to save as much as possible and also not spend as much as possible. So I kind of just started living by that. And I used to do that when I was only making about $2,500 a month is when, right around when I started doing it. And I've been doing it ever since. Unless like something happens in my life where I can't do that for a few months. And the interesting thing is once you start living by this budget, and like, it's like, okay, I can only spend, $800 on everything else, like groceries, all this kind of stuff, right? Then it's like, I start getting angry and sad when I'm going over. I always try to hit under. So let's say if my, everything is like $1,000, like what I can spend on everything else, phone, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I'm getting up to like 900 and I still have like a week left to go in the month. It's like, I start like freaking out. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't spend anything, can't go over that 1,000. So yeah. All right. Well, have a good weekend and don't spend very much this weekend. All right. Thanks.